but the fire in our hearts won't stray from the pitch where dreams collide. We'll stand together side by side. Oh, when the Spurs go marching in, when the Spurs go marching in, I wanna be there in that number. Oh, when the Spurs go marching in.
Hi everybody, Gary Ward, Project Spurs. Just a quick video, I guess, this morning or this afternoon. I'm going to call it a frank assessment. It's the afternoon of the night before. And yeah, I think the club we're in a mess at the moment. We really are. I'm genuinely concerned. However, I'm concerned about Thomas Frank in terms of, I'm not sure he knows what we are as a club. And I don't think we really know what we are as a club. And I know it sounds a bit strange, but we have a very, very divided fan base. We have a huge amount of supporters that still want Ange Postecoglou as manager of the football club. Ange Postecoglou is never going to be coming back. I think that we need to be open to that and understand that and trust that this isn't going to happen and he's not going to be returning to the football club. But equally, I think that we need to understand where we are as a team right now. We have been traditionally so poor in recruitment. And I think the recruitment has been so bad over the last 6 years. And I think that goes back to the Champions League final, Tottenham and Liverpool, where we could have kicked on. We could have progressed, could have been something, could have been a successful football side. And for whatever reason, the club decided not to back him. And then obviously Poch was sacked. And then we've had every type of manager we can think of in the last 5 years. We've had all different styles, all different philosophies. We've had Jose Mourinho. We've had Nuno Espirito Santos. We've had Ryan Mason on a couple of times having to step in. Jose Mourinho been fired after a cup final. Antonio Conte that's won everything wherever he's been. And now we've gone to Ange Postecoglou that just come off a treble in Scotland. And all of these play different styles and have different philosophies, have different ideas. Some in Antonio Conte's description, I guess, is that he wants to win now. Look at what he's doing in Napoli at the moment. He wants players that will win Serie A right now and last season, which he did. He doesn't want a player that he's got to develop. So we go and buy players that we need to develop, and it's not who he is as a manager. Jose Mourinho, very much the same. Ange Postecoglou wanted more attacking-minded players. He needed more depth in his squad. We didn't provide that. We brought in young players, unproven players, cheap players. We lost arguably our greatest player ever and replaced him with someone that had really one real good season. So the alignment has never been there between recruitment, the ownership, and our managers. And I really genuinely believe that this is what's catching up with us at the moment. Yesterday, and going to the games, I go to pretty much every home game. I don't have a season ticket, so I have to pay whatever price is set. Sometimes they are quite expensive. Yesterday it was about £80. So, I mean, that's not cheap, especially in sort of the day and age and how things are going. And look, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything recreational. This is my outlet. This is after I work, and if me and my family aren't doing anything, Tottenham is the priority, and I go. And I'm finding it difficult to do it. I will continue, obviously, but it takes me 90 minutes to drive home on a good day. Sometimes I'll get stuck on an accident, which has happened a few times this season, and it is what it is. But it takes me about 90 minutes to get home. And yesterday, I was really trying to find some answers, and I tried to analyze stuff not only in my mind, but for I'm trying to do this content creating, which is fun as a creative outlet for me. But all I kept thinking about is we've got so much deadwood in this squad still. We have an ownership that traditionally doesn't splash money, but they don't throw money around to fix problems like other clubs do. And Arsenal do it, Chelsea do it, Liverpool certainly do it, Manchester City certainly do it. Manchester United have done it this summer and have tried to in previous summers as well. And obviously they're going through a difficult stage as well at the moment. And other clubs as well. You know, Newcastle are trying. Aston Villa tried, but they're obviously financial fair play going to struggle with a little bit for them. And we don't do that. We are consistently looking for a gem. I love Football Manager, and that is what I do. I look for that next gem, and that you can sign and you can build your team around for the next 3 or 4 years of however long you've got that contract for, and you might be able to sell them on. This is real life, though. This isn't Football Manager. And I believe what they're trying to do, that we had 3 world-class players come through our team. One came through our academy and 2 came relatively cheaply. One being Harry Kane, the other being Luka Modric, Gareth Bale, and Songy. So there's 4. All of those, bar Harry Kane, who came through free, were in the 20 to 25 million. And then we sold all of them, bar Songy, for 100 million up towards. Huge amounts of money. And I genuinely believe the club's philosophy and what they were trying to do for a long period of time was keep finding these gems for cheap and then having to get a huge upsell value on them and hope that we can maybe win something in the meantime just to keep the fan base happy. And we still feel like we're doing that. We're not going out and buying a player that is proven Premier League ready, that's played in the Premier League at good standard, good team, that can come in and instantly change things, that's got a winning mentality. 2 players immediately come to mind. Jack Grealish. Jack Grealish was available this summer. We could have signed him. We could have paid the money to buy him. He could have gone out on loan. And he's gone out to loan to Everton, and look, he had a fantastic start, and they're struggling a little bit now. He had a fantastic start. Jack Grealish is a game changer. He'll change a football game when he wants to. He'll dictate that game. He was on loan, so we're just basically paying a small loan fee, and we would have been able to pay his wages. You know, it would have been probably the most wages at our football club. He's a proven Premier League winner. He's won the Premier League a number of times. He's won the cups. He's won everything. He's English. He's got a good relationship with players within the team. That's the type of player that we should be looking at right now. We should go and say, look, okay, we've got 5 or 6 players that we can see a big future in. Lucas Bergvall, Archie Gray, Pap Sarr, Jed Spence maybe. Mickey van der Ven, still relatively young. Kinski, the goalkeeper that a lot of people are asking for, and we'll touch on the goalkeeper situation in a minute. But we should go out and buy some real Premier League proven players that have done it, that have won things, and that can help develop those youngsters, but also bring some fight and steel about you. You know, Jack Grealish would have done that. I know this might sound a bit strange, but I'd have looked at Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker came out in the summer and said he had given up a Premier League trophy to have won the Europa League with Tottenham. He loves the football club. Again, proven winner. He could have come in and helped our fullbacks. We desperately need another fullback at the football club. We've got 3, really. 2 of them are right backs. Okay, I'm looking and saying we're going to buy another right back. We could keep Jed Spence on that left, him and Ndogi, and we could have had Kyle Walker and Pedro Porro. They're not fashionable signings. I get it, but they're winners. They bring that mentality, and you need to have the team with that. But it's just frustrating at the moment. We've got so much deadwood still at this football club, so much that just are not ready. We spent 40 million on Matisse Tell. I didn't even pick him for the Champions League team. who's like the recruitment, and we're sitting down and going, oh yeah, we'll buy him. Are we not thinking, hang on a minute, if we buy him, we can't go in our Champions League group here. What are we buying him for? Because we're playing him for 2 or 3 minutes a game. And granted, he came on and done, played and scored for us against United, but he hasn't done anything else because you don't get any chances to play. But we spent 40 million on him. He's just stood there, not doing anything. Yesterday came on for what, 3 minutes, 5 minutes? I'm struggling with it. We have an awful track record of selling players anyway. I don't know any football club that can't sell a football player like we do. Yeah, I go back to a summer. We spent 147 million in that summer. That was when we signed Ndombele, etc. We've sold all of them now. Sessegnon, who played relatively quite well yesterday. At the end of all of them leaving our football club, it cost us 800,000. We spent 147 on them. It cost us an extra $1 million to sell them. We can't sell football players at this club. We just cannot sell football players. It's just, you look at Chelsea spending hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds, and people are like, how are they getting that? Actually, look at how much they sell as well. Because I said this to somebody that's a Chelsea fan. It's like, yeah, you spend so much money. What's going on? He said, yeah, but look at all the players we're selling. A lot of them don't even actually play. They move them on relatively quickly. But we've just got such a poor mentality or track record of selling players. And my worry is we kept throwing Daniel Levy under the bus, rightfully so. And in January, if this ownership, which is not new, it's just new people in charge, if they don't come out and show some intent and put some serious money down, and we can all see, Tottenham fans, and if there's other not Tottenham fans watching this or watch Spurs, you can see the glaring problems that we have. We've got an imbalance issue, and we desperately need somebody as a striker and on the left-hand side. Hence why I thought Jack Grealish would have been a fantastic sort of stopgap for Song leaving while we're looking at a long-term future. We've got a number of younger players that could potentially start coming through. That's why I thought that someone like Jack Grealish would have been perfect for that role. But unless the ownership actually come out and say, okay, X player, let's say Semenyo, that everybody at Tottenham wants, and I'm sure most clubs, most managers, most fan bases around the league would like him, and he could be a game changer for us. And he's, by all accounts, a 65 million release clause. We should go, right, January 1st. We should be doing it now, to be fair. But on January 1st, we should slap down that 65 million and go, right, you're ours. Do you want to come? And let's hope we don't have the same situation of flipping Eze, for instance, which is an embarrassment. We should be showing that intent. If we're not, this ownership is just the same as it was before. There's no change in that. And I've got some reservations, some concerns on that perhaps they're saying the right things to appease us for money, for us to keep spending all that money in that stadium. As I said, it cost me 80 quid yesterday, brother, 80 quid. Food, drink, programs, it all adds up. And I think, and I hope that they do put their money where their mouth is and say, okay, Mr. Thomas Frank, we back you. What do you need? And everybody that's a fan base can see what we need, but we need to ship some players out, and some players need to seriously move on, unfortunately. Look, there's 2 league wins now since the middle of September. We are slowly slipping further and further and further down the league, and things are happening in and around us as I'm recording. I think, Manchester United are losing, which actually is decent for us because Manchester United could have leapfrogged us with a win. So hopefully that stays the same. We're 10th in the Premier League, but in reality, we're joint 14th, down with Everton. And only 1 point ahead of Fulham, who beat us yesterday. We've got 2 wins in our last 21 home games. I loved White Hart Lane. I can remember going there as a young kid. I live in a little town just outside Cambridge, quite close to Ipswich, and we'd have an Ipswich bus that would go to all the home and away games because there's a lot of Ipswich fans here. And I remember going on there because they were playing Tottenham away, and I went in there with all my Tottenham gear on as a 8-year-old and watched the game and fell in love with it. And White Hart Lane was special, and it was a difficult place for teams to come to sometimes. But I don't think this new stadium's ever been a difficult place to come to. Someone on the radio yesterday calls it Beyonce's home. It kind of feels a bit more of a concert spectacle home than ours, because we've never built it into anything. It's the best stadium in the league by a mile, maybe in Europe in some senses. But I'd rather have a winning team than a world-class stadium. Do you know? And I'm looking at it now, so I've got a photo as my background saver, and it's an incredible stadium. It really is. But we haven't built it into something. And I was saying to my brother last night on the way home, you look at White Hart Lane, we filled that up with just all Tottenham fans, and we got the same amount going in, 35, 40,000, whatever it was. And then there's 20,000 other seats. Maybe half of that is further Tottenham fans. And there's a large proportion that there aren't Spurs fans. They're Americans, they're Germans, they're Dutch, they're Koreans, all coming just to experience a football game. And that's great, but they don't engage with the atmosphere, and the atmosphere can be lost in there. And we're not all getting behind the team because there's such a split in where things are right now. A large part of the fan base wants Ange Postecoglou, which I can't get my head around. If he was so good, he would have done great at Nottingham Forest, and he lost his job within 4 weeks. I like him as a person. It just didn't work. And again, I think that comes back to the alignment issue. If we had fully backed him and said, no, you're going to be with us for season 3, as he quoted, and we're going to back you with this amount of money, you brought us a trophy, would we be in the position we are now? I don't know. Is Thomas Frank a bad manager? No, is the answer. The recruitment of this football club is bad, yes. The ins and outs are. Thomas Frank is not a bad manager, but I think like all the others, he's struggling, and he's struggling to get anything out of these players, most of them. And I don't think he helps himself. Doesn't help himself with the constant changing is okay. I don't mind us being adaptable. But again, yesterday we went with a diamond at home, and we had 3 players in the middle that are essentially the same footballer. Polinia, Bergvall, and Archie Gray are very similar. Bergvall may be a little bit more advanced. But who went into the double pivot at the end of the game? Lucas Bergvall. Because so he knows he can play this. He's got 3 of the same type of player on the pitch at home. Lucas Bergvall is being asked to essentially play on the left of the diamond, and he's constantly drifting in. So we've just got a huge gap on this on our left-hand side again. Kudus looked very lost in that first half. Essentially didn't want to play as a number 10 for West Ham, and then so we started trying to play him there. He looked a lot better when we went out to a 4-2-3-1, and he went out wide. It looked better. He looked more comfortable. He obviously scored, but he was wrong ragged. He was knackered. You could see he could hardly control the ball towards the end of the game. And we got Brennan Johnson that was just standing on the sideline. Fair play to him. He's warming up, but he's not going to make a huge difference for us. I don't think he's a long-term player for us. But just, I feel like Thomas Frank is struggling to get anything out of these footballers. And you know what? We've constantly said this for years, for every manager. And we blame those managers all the time. And sometimes you just got to go, you know, what? just don't have the players for what we want as a football club and as a fan base. I think sometimes we expect about a bit too much. We think we are something maybe we're not, and I think there's a reality check needs to start coming, certain senses. But look, yesterday was lifeless. We created very, very little in that first half, and we're consistently the architects of our own downfall. Consistently, we give teams far too much opportunity. We give goals. We gift them. It's like Christmas. When you come to that Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, it is Christmas for you because we're going to give you a goal. And yesterday we gave you two. And we can't keep doing that. We did it far too much last season with Ange Postecoglou. We just do it far too much wherever we go. Wednesday night against PSG, there were 5 goals that we could have and should have stopped. They were basic errors in all of those goals. They're all our own fault that we could have stopped. Yesterday, Vicario. I mean, I don't want to. I know it's a talking point, but he's come out, but it is much off the. Sorry about that. He is 1 yard off the touchline to do. Is clip it. All he had to do was clip it into Ray Z and we're fine. But now he wants to play it into weaker foot, play it back into play. And yeah, the rest is history. Costs us another goal. Again, Manchester United, the equaliser, he's standing behind the flipping goal line to save it. He doesn't deserve to be booed by our fan base after the fact. You can scream and shout at him, as I did, as everyone around us did, scream, shout our frustrations after. I don't necessarily agree with booing him when he touches the ball. But equally, I don't in any way agree with Thomas Frank coming out and saying that essentially you're not a Tottenham fan if you booed him. I really don't want to start on Thomas Frank and be like, I'm Thomas Frank out, because I'm not. However, I said this about Ange Postecoglou, who came for Tottenham fans as well at one point where we were disgruntled. I was here a long time before Thomas Frank, and I'll be here a long time after Thomas Frank. And I feel, and I'm sure other fan bases are similar, and I'm sure other Tottenham fans are the same, that as a fan, as a paying person, I spent £80 on that ticket yesterday. I feel I can say and do, I can boo and be frustrated, and I have more, what's the word? I'm trying to be diplomatic because I appreciate that I don't want to say something silly. But I feel like I have more, what the word is. Let me come back to that. But I was at the game, obviously. I didn't boo. I'm frustrated. However, with Thomas's post-match comments, I think that was an attempt to deflect the blame. I think he's trying to deflect the blame from the playing style that is soulless and predictable at the moment. And he's trying to deflect that blame somewhere else. And he has to show some risks and some attacking intent. Because we clearly keep gifting teams for goals. And this is becoming consistent now. It's 11 goals in a week. 11. And I was been sat on here for a number of times defending him of how better defensively we've gotten under Thomas Frank over last season. And I was really firm on that a week ago. and inside a week we've shipped 11 goals. It's inexcusable because, as I said, the 5 against PSG, they're all 5 individual errors. Really, there's one absolute worldie at the first goal from Vitinha. But if we're switched on and see a quick corner, okay, we can miss a quick corner, but we've got 3. There's 3 players down on the edge of the box unmarked. Vitinha's one of them. We're not getting out quick enough to them. We're not marking them. We just think that the danger is inside that 6-yard box. It isn't. I know that, and children know that. You know, and there's other errors, Romero's and all sorts. And again, yesterday, there's just those errors. So my worry, I'm concerned at the moment. I just don't know where a win's coming from. I thought yesterday we probably could get one that could settle down this Thomas Frank out brigade and comments online. But I think this has only added fuel to that fire, and looking around, there's a lot of people that want him gone and want somebody else back, and most of them seem to want Ange Postecoglou, which is just not going to happen. He's not going to get sacked. That's for sure. I don't see him getting fired. But my concern is where we go from here as a football club and where that next win comes from. I'm very worried about it because I think we're going to continuously slip down the league. And you look at our next fixtures, we've got Newcastle, was it Tuesday night, I believe. Next weekend's Brentford at home. Yeah, we got Tuesday night away at Newcastle. We've already lost there once this season, and it was painful. And they're a really good, solid side. Actually got a great manager. Then we've got Brentford at home. And let's be fair, Brentford are going to want to put one on Thomas Frank. The players probably will. The fan base are going to be all over that. Another London derby. And equally, we're terrible at home. Absolutely terrible at home. I'm not sure where the win's going to come from there. Then we're away to Nottingham Forest. And Sean Dyche is starting to get them playing now. That's a difficult place to go. And then just before Christmas, we're at home to Liverpool. And we all know that Liverpool are struggling at the moment. And look, they'll probably maybe beat West Ham today. But then when they go, knowing Tottenham, that'll be their first win, and they're absolutely pumpers. Yeah, I just don't know where that win's coming from. I really, really don't. And then just after Christmas is Crystal Palace away, and they're 3rd, 4th, 5th in the league at the moment. Beating Man United as we speak. I just don't know where the wins are coming, where these points are going to be picked up from. So I'm really worried. I'm concerned. I hope that we get back to some basics. The imbalance in the team's wrong. It's really poor. We've got a number of players there that just underperforming and consistently underperforming. But coming back to my comments on Thomas Frank and saying, if you booed, you're not a real Tottenham fan. I've been here longer as a fan base. We've been here longer than those players and him combined, and we are entitled to our opinions and say what we say and boo and cheer and scream and shout and cry and all the emotions. I get that we shouldn't be booing a player after the fact, but they need to understand that what they're performing and what they're giving right now just isn't simply good enough, and it's a concerning time. Love to know what people think of it, what the answers are. I just, as I said at the beginning of this, I tried to sit and think of some answers, and I just keep coming back to that recruitment over the last 5 or 6 years, and I don't know if that's me trying to hold on to something. So I've got an answer, because at the moment I don't know where them wins are coming from. I don't know where them points are coming from. And if things stay as they are, we're going to keep slipping down that table. We're already 10th. And you think, what, against just before Arsenal? we were fourth. Yeah, we've won 1 in our last 5. We've lost 3 and drawn 1 in our last 5. Ultimately, we're 7 points off where we finished last season. And are we 7 points better than we were last season? I don't think we are at the moment. Yeah. A frank assessment is what I called this. And I think that he really needs to sit down now, set a formation, a style, pick the best players and go for it. Because we can't go into games at home with a £60 million creative midfielder sat on the bench in Xavi Simons. He's not going to get up to speed in the Premier League, which is clearly struggling a little bit with the physicality, by consistently sitting on the bench and not playing. We have to play. Has to play. Colin Moani has to play. He worked his absolute socks off yesterday. Mohamed Kudus has to play. We've got to find a solution to this left-sided issue that we currently have. Who that is, I'm not sure at this stage. Don't think Odobert is the answer. I don't think Tell's the answer. I don't think Richardson's the answer. Xavi Simons isn't the answer by going out there. Do we go back to an old style of putting Kudus out there because he's left-footed, and then putting Brennan Johnson on the right because he's right-footed and we can get some crosses in? And I don't think Brennan Johnson's the answer either. And maybe Thomas Frank agrees with all that assessment, that those aren't the answer and we are critically imbalanced. Does a 3-5-2 help? Well, no, because then where are we going to put Mohamed Kudus? Would Kudus play as a central striker with Moani? Possibly. Then we've got 3 in the middle, so we'd have Xavi Simons. So really, it's we'd have to have 2 holders. We don't have the players for the style and the formations that he's wanting, and he's got to find a solution quick, because we will slip down that league and ultimately he'll lose his job. I don't think he will lose it anytime soon. I think he's here. I think they'll give him the season. But if we don't finish at least in the top half of the table, there's some even longer term issues, because recruitment is going to be really difficult. I don't see many players are going to want to leave and come to Tottenham when we're not in any European Cup competition and we're going to be struggling. Yeah, it's nice to play in our stadium and a lovely training ground, but people and players want to win things, and that recruitment might get even more dire. So yeah, there's solutions need to happen, and happen real quickly. And as I said at the beginning, that 90-minute drive home yesterday, I was struggling to think of what those solutions be. Because normally you sit and think, oh, well, you know, bring the kids in, or bring this player in, or bring that player in. And we try and it doesn't work. It's a bad time at the moment. And it's really, and I hate saying that, because I was so positive, and I'm so positive about Thomas Frank, and I like him. And I think he's a really nice person from what I've seen and what I hear and read and watch. And what he's done at Brentford was brilliant. And he developed players, and he got the best out of people that no one else really knew. And I loved that. And I thought, wow, imagine what he could do here. But he hasn't shown me it. And I keep trying to find excuses for that, to make these videos and to try and spread some positivity and say, no, look, we're going to get this right. But it hasn't shown me it at the moment. And there's a big worry and concern. And look, he's the only one that could change this right now. The hope is that our ownership come out and fully back him in the transfer window. We need a centre back. We need another centre back. We need a left back to compete. We need a left-sided winger, and we desperately need a striker. and we ain't going to get that for in January. It would be nice, but unless this ownership have all that they've said after winning the Europa League was, we want to compete, we want to win now, we want to do all these special things and everything, and Daniel Levy was relieved of his duties, and we're going to forward thinking and blah blah blah. If they don't do anything that remotely feels like that ENIC out protesting that's just all of a sudden stopped, will start up again. Daniel Levy was gone, but it was Levy and ENIC out. That's what we constantly saw, and that's completely stopped. How are we better off now than we was back then? I don't know. We're now down to 11th as the table is just updated in front of me. There must be something going on. Oh, Manchester United, are they now drawing? They are. So now we've dropped down further. So Man United have just scored. So we now dropped down to 11th now. See, it's getting worse as I'm on here. So yeah, there's a bit of a frank assessment. I'm concerned. I don't like the comments that he made yesterday. I feel a little bit disappointed. I guess it's a word. I'm not angry. I'm disappointed, because I feel I have that entitlement to be able to boo, cheer, cry, shout, all those emotions, because I've been at that football club and I've supported that football club more than him and all those players combined. They can go somewhere else. I can't. That's the ultimate thing. Thomas Frank's not going to be here forever. He'll go off and be a manager somewhere else. All of those players won't be there until they retire. They'll go off and play for somewhere else. They might have some affiliation for the club over X amount of years. Sure. We see a lot. David Pleat was there yesterday. Clive Allen was there yesterday. We saw Alan Nielsen recently. We see Glenn Hoddle. They all have. Roman Vega's very vocal on social media. They all have an affiliation, but we're still here paying that money each week in, week out, and it's our life. This is everything. I can't go anywhere. I can't go and say I'm going to go and support West Ham now because all of my family support, all my in-laws support West Ham. This is it for us. So I think sometimes you have to understand that, but we've got to go into these home games with some imagination and creativity, which we're just not getting that at the moment. And I'm very worried about that in Thomas Frank because I thought that's what we was going to get. So a little frank assessment. Be interested to see what people think of it. I don't want this Thomas Frank in or out because he's not going anywhere. I want to know what you think is the root cause of this, and don't. People will just come and go, oh, Thomas Frank doesn't know what he's doing, he's clueless, or we should never have got rid of Ange. Well, we have got rid of him and we've got who we've got. But what is the root cause of this? Where does this go back to for you? For me, it's 2019 Champions League final. We should have kicked on as a team. We should have invested money into the playing staff. We should have brought in some more experienced players to continue with the development of our younger players, and we didn't. We didn't spend anything. And everybody else around us improved that was around us at the time anyway, and kicked on, and we are regressing, we're not progressing. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. Be interesting to know. And we'll be back on here on Monday. There'll be myself and Callum and a number of guests. Again, if you would like to get involved in Project Spurs, it's open to everybody that is a Tottenham fan. You don't have to come on live. If you would like to pre-record a video for us, just give us your thoughts on the game, be it Fulham or the next games that you're able to do so. Pre-record that, send it over. I will play it on the show. If you would like to get involved, come on live. You're more than welcome to come on for 5-10 minutes. If you'd like to stay for the whole hour, you're also more than welcome. I'd just like to give platform to Tottenham fans that want to talk and give their views and opinions and talk about their love for the club. And let's build a nice little community for everybody that you feel that you can come here and speak about Tottenham. So yeah, if you're interested in that, please drop me a message on Twitter, on Facebook, or wherever you can find me, and we'll get you on. But appreciate the people that are watching. Go and enjoy loads of football tonight. Today, I'm going to go and watch every game now and try and switch off from Tottenham for a little bit. But as always, come on, you Spurs.